everyone, I'm Cari Champion and welcome to the arena. My co-hosts Kyle Korver and Bakari Sellers will join me shortly. But first, one day into his administration, and there are reports that the 46th president, Joe Biden, will look to sports and sports figures to help with bridging the gap in a divided America. And while the division between sports and social justice seemed more pronounced over the last 4 years, it's always been there. However, yesterday, we were able to see some hope, some light, some civility, and what the president called an uncivil war. And as we take a look back at yesterday's inauguration, we ask, what have we learned about America?
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer.
So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
More than an athlete, more than making plays, more than winning games. Welcome to the arena.
Hey everyone, welcome to the arena. I am Cari Champion. That is Kyle Korver. That is Bakari Sellers. We are back. Of course, with this platform, we talk about athletes and activism and how they use their platform. Yesterday was a special day. Speaking of platforms, I thought about this, and I was sharing with these guys off camera. Going into the inauguration yesterday, I thought, okay, it's pretty much ceremonial. I won't really put too much stock into it. But right away, there was just a change in pace, a change in how I felt about what I was watching, and I felt like a lot of us were hopeful yesterday. Mm-hmm. Not the type of hope that I felt when Obama became president, but hopeful in the sense of more healing. I think that we have been divided for a very long time, and the president talked about it, and it's pit black against white, and that's what's unfortunate. And I've noticed even in my actions, I've matched some of that energy, that rage and that anger. And I felt the need yesterday to feel as if I just want to surrender. I really want to look ahead to getting better, to healing, to trying to see if we can move past this. Yes, have justice, but move past what we've been dealing with. At least for me, that was my feeling. And Amanda Gorman, we just showed that young poet. She was so powerful, so poetic. Her words that said, and even though we grieved, we grew. Mm-hmm. And that explained a lot for me. That really hit home. And so, with that being said, I wanted to get your thoughts right away on the inauguration. Kyle, I'll start with you because you and I, you asked Dr. Fauci a question on our show on Monday. And Bakari and I were like, ooh, yeah. The question was so big and so powerful and so thoughtful. I have to ask you, the past 4 years, considering who you are, the players you played with before in the league, and where we are right now, what have you learned about America?
I would say as a white man, I have learned a lot about America. You know, I think you take a word like white supremacy, and that's like a whoa word for a white man, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to say that. But then you think about what that really is, right? That's not necessarily saying it's a white supremacist. When I think of white supremacist, I think of, you know, someone, you know, the KKK. I think of, you know, guys in guns and boots, extremists, right? But what I've come to learn is that white supremacy, it's an ideology. It's this idea that it's that somehow white Americans, that we're somehow, we have more value, that we deserve better protection. And that's what I have learned these last 4 years, right? That this is a real thing, and that this has been laced inside of all of our institutions, inside of our systems, and it's been laced so intricately that as a white man, I couldn't see it. And so when I finally did see it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, how do I be a part of helping? I'm not for, this is not who I want to be. I want to be for people. And so just coming to that understanding has put me on a new path, right? Of trying to continue to learn and to continue to try to remove my blind spots, to continue to try to be a better friend, a better teammate. It's been a hard bunch of years for me. It's been a lot of reflection and having looked myself in the mirror and say, who do I really want to be?
That's powerful. I mean, you know, it's kind of hard to go after that, Kyle, because that level of introspection is something that we need more people to have. You know, that level of self-awareness. For me, it was about hope, because it's been very difficult for many people to find some semblance of hope throughout those dark days. People say joy cometh in the morning. My grandmother, you know how old folks sometimes say stuff that don't make a whole lot of sense when you get a certain age? My grandmother used to say that you can't fall
wait
off.
till I'm that age.
Oh, yeah. She would say whatever I want. She would say you can't fall off the floor. And it's a phrase that didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time. But now there's so many of us, there's so many groups of individuals who feel like they've been knocked down. And you realize the only way you get up is to get up together. And yesterday's moments, it gave me a renewed sense of hope, a renewed sense of purpose. We've had some dark times as a country. I mean, whether or not you're talking about 1955 and Emmett Till, whether or not you're talking about April 4th of '68 with Dr. King, whether or not you're talking about my good friend Clemente Pinckney in a church in Mother Emanuel AME Church in 2015 being gunned down by Dylan Roof, whether or not you're talking about George Floyd. We've had some very difficult times in this country. But yesterday, I learned from a 22-year-old young lady that, you know, America is just not finished. Yeah. And we have to reimagine what it should be. We learned from Kamala Devi Harris that little brown girls around the world could be absolutely anything they want to be. There have been 49 now vice presidents, and one of them looks a little different than the other 48. And so having two daughters myself, having them be able to understand that moment yesterday meant so much. And the peaceful transfer of power. I think that, you know, from a very political sense, we learned that, you know, democracy is fragile. People watching the news, cable news, kind of on edge. People were watching yesterday on edge. We have more troops in Washington, D.C. than Iraq and Afghanistan combined. That's a mind-blowing statistic. So people are on edge, but yet democracy prevailed. And so I just think that we live in a community where a lot of people confuse patriotism with prejudice. And we have to do a better job, people like Kyle and myself, of utilizing these platforms, Cari, utilizing these platforms, as you said, and funneling this energy to a group of young people who can reimagine what this country should be.
Kyle said something very powerful, and it goes in right in lockstep with what you said. White supremacy is so intricately laced into these institutions that you don't even know it exists. And when you say those words are so threatening and polarizing, and people don't want to embrace it and even understand what it is, because there is an emotional commitment to ignorance. When you can give someone facts and figures and they say, nope, I still believe what I believe, that works both ways, right? It works both ways. It works for me, works for you, and you as well. But as we look ahead and we move forward and try to, I don't necessarily mean get back on track. We'll use Amanda's words, reimagine what our America can be. I'm curious, because I think that we know that a new administration doesn't mean all is well.
Oh, exactly.
So let's talk about the challenge and perhaps the demand to hold this current administration accountable for things that we would like to see.
I mean, that's perfect, and I think it fits why we're all here together. I mean, that's a perfect segue, because voting is just the front door to democracy. Now you're there, and you have to hold people accountable. My fear is that athletes, myself, many others, are going to get comfortable. you know, election's over, now we can get back to our daily lives, and that's not the case. Like, you still have to use your platform for voting rights. You still need to be working on the very, one of the things that your team did last year, that the Bucks did last year so well, was they worked with state and local government to implement changes on that level, not waiting on what was happening in Washington, D.C. And so we can't get complacent. I mean, just because you cast a ballot doesn't mean that it's over. And, you know, regardless of who you voted for. I mean, if you're celebrating today, or you were one of the 74 million people who are upset that your guy didn't win, you still have to play a part in this democracy because it's participatory. And I want everyone who is, you know, was proclaiming that they're not going to just shut up and dribble. I want them to still be active tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Kyle, is that their responsibility? Is it a responsibility of the athlete to be active?
I think it's an opportunity. I think that it can be. I know there's many guys who are very comfortable stepping into this, and this is what they want to do. And if that's the case, that's awesome. I think the real question is, like, what is being a good citizen?
Yeah.
What does that mean? And is being a good citizen, does that mean, like, not saying anything and just letting the powers that be keep on going? Being a good citizen means speaking up. Being a good citizen means holding people accountable, right? Like, and as athletes, we have a way to do that. We have a platform. We have a collective voice that has been shown that it is powerful. It is strong. Now, with that, there's a responsibility to use it the right way. But I think guys want to walk into this well. Girls too, obviously. I think athletes have shown that their hearts are right.
And speaking of athletes and opportunities to use their platform, as we go to break, I want to show you guys this. Jaylen Brown was asked about the new administration, and I'm paraphrasing here by a local Boston writer, and he said, I don't want to be pessimistic, but essentially, Bakari, around, and same thing what you're saying. I want to make sure that I challenge this administration. We still have a lot of work to do, regardless if Biden is in the office or not. There's still more work to be done. And then on the opposite end of that, we have to make sure that there's no fatigue, that people are okay with hearing this, and if they're not, they get okay with listening to what we're trying to do.
Great athletes think alike.
So we are going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a long-standing White House tradition. When you visit the White House, will that change? We will discuss when we come back. For Bakari and Kyle, I'm Cari Champion. This is The Arena.
That's the worst.
Hey guys, welcome back to The Arena. So Kyle, take a look. People enjoy what you said. You're now invited to the barbecue. I don't know if you knew that you were or were not, but you now are. Honest introspection. Salute. Invited to the barbecue.
He can't cook though. You can just come.
No. Don't bring any potato salad of sorts. You just come. You just enjoy it. Bakari, that's not right. He can cook if you want to. Bring some cake. All right. So look at the Lakers getting ready to take on the Bucks on TNT. We got AD there, and then there is LeBron James.
Where's Wesley Matthews?
Professor.
Coming back.
I see.
Where's he at?
Speaking of the Lakers, since they won, they might be going to the White House. So let's start there. Since the 1860s, presidents from both sides have invited champions to come to the White House. It's a tradition. It's a rite of passage, if you will. But we have seen over the last few years, players and teams alike have decided not to go to the White House for personal and political reasons. So with this new administration, we wonder, will that change? Take a look.
There are rituals associated with winning a professional sports championship. Ceremonial rites of passage that only a champion will experience. The coronation process is similar across all the major leagues.
The Pittsburgh Penguins have won the Stanley Cup. Golden State champions of the NBA once again. Atlanta United have won MLS Cup. United States of America are crowned champions of the world. Back-to-back championships.
The final honor is a tradition deeply rooted in the fabric of American sports history. The champions visit the White House.
Welcome to the White House.
Since the 1860s, presidents have hosted baseball teams at the White House. And the tradition of championship sports teams visiting continues to this day.
Peyton Manning said, I'm going to be here during your presidency. Sure enough, he delivered.
Hopefully you can put this on and run with it.
Congratulations to the Indiana Fever.
To make you our official member.
Thank you very much.
I brought the Stanley Cup home. Congratulations.
I'd like to present you with this championship ball and say thank you, doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Thank you.
Congratulations. NASCAR Cup Series champion, Joey Logano.
Give it up for the world champion, U.S. Women's National Soccer Team.
We're in the White House right now. This is like, Mama, I made it.
Well, the tradition of visiting the White House is something that made a real mark on me, and it's just a special treat for a championship team.
This is stuff that you see on postcards. You might, if you had a chance to go to D.C., you ride by it. You never really think that one day I may be in the White House.
Growing up where we grew up, I think the majority of people would never see themselves having an opportunity to go to the White House, just like I did.
When I was younger, it seems far-fetched. Like, how could a West Virginia girl get to the White House? To me, that was a goal, to be able to do something that our family would have never been able to do before.
It was awesome, like, to get to walk through. You see the different statues, you see the different rooms we got to sit in, but we were too afraid to even touch anything.
I just remember, man, don't break none of these people's stuff. I don't care what you make, you can't pay for none of this.
I think it's a great tradition. It's special.
Going to the White House and having that opportunity, that was way bigger than me.
It's crazy that basketball led me to it.
After winning the 2017 NBA championship, Golden State Warriors star Stephen Curry was outspoken about not wanting to visit the White House. On September 23, 2017, President Donald Trump rescinded the Warriors' White House invitation.
Given President Trump's rhetoric, calling NFL players sons of making some of the comments that he's made about certain athletes, most athletes that I know over the last 4 years did not want to go. I know our team did not want to go after winning the 17 championship. President Trump basically disinvited us before we could even turn down the invitation.
Every team has an opportunity to make a decision for themselves and speak for themselves, and I think that's powerful.
When somebody says they don't want to come to the White House, he disinvites them, so whoever wins the series won't be going. It's good that guys are sticking to what they believe in and what they want to do.
I've had the pleasure to meet with Reagan, George Bush, Clinton, George W. Bush, Obama. I didn't necessarily agree with all of them, but it was an incredible honor to be in their presence. In normal times, very easily be able to set aside political differences and go visit and have a great time, and that'd be awesome. But these are not ordinary times, probably the most divisive times in my life.
Players across the sports world were candid about their stance on visiting the White House.
I'm not going to the White House.
I stand by the comments that I made about not wanting to go to the White House.
No, absolutely not. I refuse to respect a man that warrants no respect. Staying silent, at times can side with the oppressor.
I would encourage my teammates to think hard about lending that platform or having that co-opted by an administration that doesn't feel the same way and doesn't fight for the same things that we fight for.
I'm going to respectfully decline the offer. It's just a personal thing. I believe in what I believe in, and we stick by every single teammate in their decision.
I personally do not anticipate attending that.
I'm not going to go. People know how I feel about it.
My son grows up, and I believe the legacy of our president is going to be what it is. I don't want him to say, hey, Dad, why'd you go when you knew the right thing was to not go?
Winning a Super Bowl or winning a Stanley Cup or winning a World Series or winning an NBA championship or a national championship is way bigger than getting invited to the White House, especially with him in there, in my opinion.
This isn't an anomaly for athletes to pass on the visit. Over the years, individual players have opted out on team trips to the White House for a variety of reasons. Some personal, some political.
President Trump hosting a few celebrations, although there's one glaring difference for this administration. No WNBA sports teams.
Just for me personally, my feelings weren't hurt if we didn't get an invitation because I just never had made plans on it that year.
After we won in 17, I think we already had our minds made up. Whether they sent the invite or not, we knew it was probably a no-go with what was happening in the world and the leadership that we had at the time that just didn't align with what we were about.
In order to get back to that place where teams and athletes are visiting the White House, there just has to be an inherent respect between the president and the athletes themselves. That respect has always existed, but it disappeared over the last 4 years.
With a new administration,
So help me God.
comes reports that the NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers are now looking forward to reconvening the traditional White House visit.
Look, if I win a championship in the future, I want to meet Kamala Harris. Like that's I'm just throwing that out there now. I know the president meets the teams, but I think that would be pretty awesome too if it was women's sports teams and Kamala Harris made an appearance. I know that it's going to be an exciting time.
For me, it ain't never been about political beliefs because I don't think that the world or everybody is going to 100% agree on political beliefs. But I think we all got to agree on having a good person. Talk about somebody that actually hears and understands the cries of the people in the community. It'll be a lot more unity than division. And I think that's what you see when it comes to the opportunity to go to the White House. For me, man, it was amazing to go to the White House and see the first black president. But if he wasn't a decent person, it don't matter to me. And then the next step, understanding that every white person ain't bad, right? Every police officer ain't bad. So we got to figure out a way to bridge that gap.
I hope that we can get to a point where real change comes.
I think this new administration is going to bring a breath of fresh air to the country. It shouldn't be a thought what side you're on or whether it's going to be a debate or if you go, you don't go, what that means. Like, it's supposed to be a place for all people to come and celebrate being American and experiencing that as champions. That's what you work for every year, making sure that this is a place that we, the American people, can call our own.
Okay, Bakari, we went to the Twitter. You too are invited to the barbecue. However, they want to know, I'm watching you on NBA on TNT, The Arena. When are you getting back into governing your solid? You got about 20 seconds to answer that question.
Oh, that's a great question. For me, I just enjoy being a husband and a father right now. And so, and sitting with Kyle and Cari, I got A-list celebrities up here that I'm hanging out with. But it's about public service, so one day soon.
One day soon. That's good. That was a very political answer, right?
I went around. I went around.
Like you went around the answer. We'll be back in just a few moments. Soon. Soon, he said.
And very soon.
Big game tonight on TNT. Lakers at Bucks, Kyle's old team. You know what? I had a chance to talk to Kenny. Kenny said tonight this game means a lot for Milwaukee because the reigning MVP has to show improve. Agree or disagree in just a few seconds?
Kind of. I think all that matters is playoffs for these guys now. They've showed regular season that they're fine.
I agree with you. I agree. Regular season is regular season. Meanwhile, guys, we got some answers for you. I have seen your messages on the social. You enjoy what you see. You'll see more of it. The Arena continues next Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We will have Nafisa Collier of the Minnesota Lynx here. She'll join us in studio along with Kyle, my guy, my main co-host. Bakari is going to take a break. He's over us, and that's fine. But meanwhile, I'm going to make him work while he's here. Asia Wilson, your homegirl, literally and figuratively immortalized.
Yes.
Talk to me about this statue.
Man,
look, at such a young age.
That's so dope. She's done so much. #1 high school player in the country. Gamecock brought a national championship to South Carolina. She's a role model. I mean, she can run for mayor, governor of South Carolina. But even more importantly, though, like, this is what this is all about. Like, young people can look up to her and say that I want to be like Asia Wilson. So I'm proud of Asia and Don, the whole crew, and the WNBA is doing God's work.
But there was and thank you for that shout out, there was a story that you liked about her actually getting her statue there because I guess her grandmother couldn't even go to the campus, I guess. You were telling Kyle?
I watched the interview that she gave, and she talked about how her grandmother wasn't allowed to step foot on the campus. And now 2 generations later, her granddaughter has a statue on the campus just because she is this incredible light in the world. Like, come on, like that is amazing.
But if we gonna keep it 100 though, Asia got to win a championship too.
Okay,
so, I mean, if we just gonna level set here.
No, but let's just take a moment and enjoy that. Do you understand that's progress that we're talking about? That's that hope that we're talking about?
Yes. No,
All right.
Shout out to the whole family in Lower Richland, South Carolina. They're dope.
Meanwhile, we have been told by Cedric Sabalas, another NBA champion. Did he win a chip?
Cedric?
Sabalas, do y'all remember? I need my researcher. Okay, Cedric, I done gave you a chip. I don't know if it's true, but thank you, my guy. I give you one. He's watching the show. He said, great show on NBA on TNT, The Arena. Powerful. Thank you, he said. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Madam Vice President.
not saying you got to put this up in your office at the White House, but it'd probably be a good idea. Congratulations, blazing your own path. We're all rooting and supporting you the whole way.
Oh, this means so much to me. You guys, I will proudly, proudly display this in the office of the Vice President of the United States, an office I am about to occupy. And I cannot thank you enough. And you always bring such joy and pride to me as a daughter of Oakland. Be well, be safe. And this is really so very special. So thank you all, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Oh, that just gives me chills to say it. So as we wrap, you guys have done a solid job, and I'm just, again, so honored to be with you to talk about how we can make this world a better place, no matter how corny and cheesy it sounds. Final thoughts, my friend.
I think this year, I mean, we've seen, the curtain has been pulled back this year. We have seen who we really are, and I think there's been good and hard to that. But I think I've never been more excited to be an American.
Hey.
I'm like really hopeful. Like, it's like you were talking about earlier, like I'm like actively hopeful and wanting to participate, and that feels good.
Hey, man.
Like, come on.
I mean, part of the patriotism is challenging this country to be and fulfill its promise. And so I'm proud as well. And all I can say is that it's our job to do things like make justice a verb, to allow people to dream about what love and hope and peace. We're getting real cheesy, but that is what it means to be a real, true American to me. So I'm proud, I'm hopeful, and today's a new day.
And you know what else is a verb? Taking it out. That's what the Lakers will not do. Coming up next, we got the Bucks, Lakers. I'm giving it to my Laker team. Sending it over to the guys. Take it away inside the NBA. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week for some more Arena.